The sun was just beginning to settle over Naples, spilling golden light across the old city's rooftops, when Victor Osimhen stood before his full-length mirror. He wasn't wearing a football jersey this time. A tailored jacket, sleek, cream-colored linen with gold embroidery tracing the seams, draped over his shoulders. Beneath it, a white silk shirt, unbuttoned just enough to catch the glow. On his feet, custom sneakers painted in Napoli blue, with his number 9 stitched in bold. He smiled. Not the fierce grin that followed a goal, but the quiet, satisfied smile of a man who had learned to balance two worlds, the game and the art. 1. From Olissosin to Milan, years before the roar of stadiums, before the designer fittings and magazine covers, Victor's world was a blur of dust and dreams. He grew up in Olissosin, Lagos, a community built around one of Africa's largest dump sites. The air was thick with smoke and the sound of hustle. Children sold sachet water. Mothers haggled over bread. And Victor, he chased footballs made of rags through narrow, crowded streets. He didn't own fancy boots then. Sometimes he didn't even have shoes at all. But he had imagination. He would say to his childhood friend Chuka, "When I score in Europe, I'll wear a suit made of Lagos sun. Bright, unstoppable." Chuka would laugh. "A beg, Victor. Which one be Lagos sun suit? You know they tired a dream?" But Victor wasn't joking. Even as a boy, he had a fascination with how things looked. The colors, the shapes, the confidence in presentation. When his mother patched his torn shirts, he would point out how the thread color didn't match. "Next time, Mummy, make it blue, like Chelsea's kit." Football was survival. Fashion was expression. Both for him were identity. 2. The rise years later, when Osimhen broke through at Wolfsburg, then Lille, and finally Napoli, his story became one of raw, undeniable grit. He was fast, fearless, and wore his heart, and sometimes a protective mask, like a badge of war. But off the pitch, another transformation was happening. In Italy, fashion wasn't a hobby, it was a religion. Everywhere he looked, from the alleys of Milan to the cafes of Via Toledo, people dressed like art, and Victor, ever curious, started learning. He attended fashion shows during off days, sitting quietly in the corner while cameras tried to catch him. He would watch the models walk, study the fabrics, and ask designers questions most footballers wouldn't think to ask. One evening, after scoring a brace against Roma, he told his teammate Piotr Zielinski in the locker room, "Football and fashion are the same, my brother." Zielinski raised an eyebrow. "How?" "You have to see before you create. You visualize the goal, or the outfit, before the world sees it." Zielinski laughed, shaking his head. "Only you, Victor." 3. The brand. In 2024, when Napoli crowned him Serie A champion, Victor launched something unexpected, V9, the masked mode. It wasn't just another athlete clothing line. Each piece was inspired by his journey, the struggle, the rise, the resilience. The Lagos sun jacket shimmered gold like the dream he once told Chuka about. The Napoli blue highs carried the energy of stadium lights. And the mask collection, sleek, stylish, mysterious, became a global sensation. At the launch event in Milan, photographers shouted his name as he walked the carpet in a midnight black suit. His mask, reimagined in silver and silk, covered half his face. "Victor, what's the meaning of the mask?" one reporter called out. He smiled, adjusting it slightly. "The mask reminds me who I am. On the pitch, it's protection. Off the pitch, it's power." But for Victor, the recognition wasn't the goal. It was about legacy. He wanted to inspire kids back home, those who still played barefoot, to believe that style and substance could coexist. 4. Lagos again. Months later, Victor returned to Nigeria for an off-season visit. He walked through the streets of Olissosin again. No cameras, no entourage, just a cap pulled low and sunglasses shielding his eyes. He saw boys playing in the same dusty streets he had once ruled. Their laughter rang out over the chaos of the market. "Now Victor Osimhen beat dat," someone whispered. He smiled and waved. A small boy, maybe 9, ran up to him. His t-shirt was ripped, and he carried a ball made of plastic bags tied with rope. "Uncle Victor, a beg, sign my ball." the boy said, panting. Victor knelt and took the ball. What's your name? Sunday. You like football? Yes, sir. I want to play for Super Eagles one day, but my papa say I go better sell phone charger. Victor chuckled softly, then reached into his bag. He pulled out a V9 t-shirt, bright yellow with fearless across the chest, and gave it to him. Sunday, listen, Victor said gently. No matter where you start, your dream fit wear fine cloth one day. But first, believe in yourself. The boy nodded, clutching the shirt like treasure. 5. The show back in Europe, Victor was invited to Paris Fashion Week, not just to attend, but to walk. The world's cameras turned as the striker from Lagos took the runway. He wore an ensemble designed in collaboration with a Nigerian designer from Yaba, Ankara-patterned blazer with metallic threads, paired with contemporary streetwear cuts. As he walked, there was silence, then applause. Thunderous, genuine applause. When he reached the end of the runway, Victor turned, flashed that unmistakable grin, and pointed to the mask emblem embroidered on his chest. 6. The balanced people often asked him, Victor, what's next? More goals or more clothes? He always laughed. Why choose? The same feet that score goals can step on a runway. Even on game days, his fashion sensibility showed. Pre-match arrivals became mini fashion shows. Him in bold prints, tailored coats, sometimes even custom hats that made social media buzz. Commentators would joke, Osimhen's pre-match fits score as much as he does. But behind the glamour, he remained grounded. He funded youth football programs across Nigeria, donating kits designed under V9. He also opened the Thread Academy in Lagos, a place for young Nigerians to learn tailoring, design, and entrepreneurship. 7. The legacy one evening, sitting on his balcony overlooking the Bay of Naples, Victor scrolled through old photos. Him in Lagos with bare feet, him in Wolfsburg, cold and uncertain, him lifting trophies, him walking Paris runways. He thought about how far he had come, and how style in all its forms had been a constant. Fashion wasn't vanity for him, it was voice. Somewhere between football and fashion, he had found himself. And maybe, just maybe, he had stitched together the dream he once wore in his heart. When journalists now describe Victor Osimhen, they don't just say goal machine. They say a symbol of Nigerian brilliance, where sport meets style and hustle meets grace. Because for Victor, fashion isn't about what you wear. It's about how you walk through life, with confidence, creativity, and courage. And on that, both the football pitch and the runway agree.